An 80-year-old man was out fishing. He was sitting in his boat when he heard a voice say,
"Pick me up."
He looked around and couldn't see anyone. He thought he was dreaming when he heard the voice again say,
"Pick me up."
He looked in the water and there, floating on the top, was a frog. The man said, "Are you talking to me?" The frog responded,
"Yes, I'm talking to you. Pick me up, then kiss me, and I'll turn into the most beautiful woman you have ever seen. I'll make sure that all your friends are envious and jealous because I will be your bride."
The man looked at the frog for a short time, reached over, picked it up carefully, and placed it in his front pocket. The frog said,
"What? Are you nuts? Didn't you hear what I said? I said kiss me and I will be your beautiful bride."
The man opened his pocket, looked at the frog, and said, "Nah. At my age, I'd rather have a talking frog." A 15-year-old Amish boy and his father visited the city for the very first time. They wandered around, marveling at the different sights. Eventually, they got to a mall. They were amazed by almost everything they saw. But they were especially amazed at two shiny silver walls that could move apart and then slide back together again. The boy asked, "What is this, father?" The father, never having seen an elevator before, responded, "Son, I have never seen anything like this in my life. I don't know what it is." While the boy and his father were watching with amazement, an old lady in a wheelchair rolled up to the moving walls and pressed a button. The walls opened, and the lady passed between them into a small room. The walls closed, and the boy and his father watched the small numbers above the walls light up sequentially. They continued to watch until it reached the last number, and then the numbers began to light in the reverse order. Finally, the walls opened again, and a gorgeous 24-year-old blonde woman stepped out. The father, not taking his eyes off the young woman, said quietly to his son, "Junior, go get your mother." Little Johnny is lying in bed, busting to go to the toilet. So he gets out of bed, runs downstairs into the living room, and finds his mother chatting to a bunch of her friends.
"Mommy!"
Johnny yells at the top of his voice.
"I gotta pee! I gotta pee!"
Well, needless to say, the mother is mortified at her son's language in front of her guests and scolds the young boy.
"Johnny, we do not shout that word in this house. Next time, just whisper, okay?"
Little Johnny nods sheepishly. His mother takes him to the bathroom and tucks him back into bed. The next night, little Johnny is busting to go to the toilet again. So he gets out of bed, runs downstairs into the living room, and there is his mother having a glass of wine with her friends.
"Mommy, I gotta whisper! I gotta whisper!"
he says. His mother excuses herself and takes Johnny to the bathroom, smiling at her son's innocent mistake, but relieved that he was at least more discreet than last time. She then takes Johnny back upstairs and tucks him into bed.
"Well done, sweetie,"
she says, kissing him goodnight.
"That was much more polite."
A few nights go by and, lo and behold, little Johnny is busting to go to the toilet again. So he gets out of bed, runs downstairs into the living room, and there is his dad watching TV.
"Daddy,"
Johnny says softly,
"I gotta whisper! I gotta whisper!"
"Aw, is that so, little buddy?"
says his dad, his eyes fixed on the television.
"Come on over here and whisper in Daddy's ear."
A group of Americans are touring Ireland. One of the women in the group is a real groaner, constantly complaining.
"The bus seats are uncomfortable! The food is terrible! The accommodations are dreadful!"
One day, the group arrives at the site of the famous Blarney Stone. "Good luck will be following you all of your days if you kiss the Blarney Stone," their guide says. "Unfortunately, it's being cleaned today, so no one will be able to kiss it. Perhaps we can come back tomorrow."
"We can't be here tomorrow!"
the nasty woman shouts.
"We have some other boring tour to go on, so I guess we can't kiss the stupid stone."
"Well now," the guide says, It is said that if you kiss someone who has kissed the stone, you'll have the same good fortune.
And I suppose you've kissed the stone?
The woman scoffs. No, ma'am, the frustrated guide responds. But I have sat on it. A magician was working on a cruise ship in the Caribbean. The audience would be different each week, so the magician allowed himself to do the same tricks over and over again. There was only one problem. The captain's parrot saw the shows each week and began to understand how the magician did every trick. Once he understood, he started shouting in the middle of the show.
Look, it's not the same hat. Look, he's hiding the flowers under the table. Hey, why are all the cards the ace of spades?
The magician was furious, but couldn't do anything about it. It was, after all, the captain's parrot. One day the ship had an accident and sank. The magician found himself floating on a piece of wood in the middle of the ocean, with the parrot, of course. They stared at each other with hate, but did not utter a word. This continued day after day. Finally, the parrot had enough and said,
Okay, I give up. Where's the boat?
A policeman was interrogating 3 guys who were training to become detectives. To test their skills in recognizing a suspect, he shows them a picture for 5 seconds and then hides it. He then asks,
This is your suspect. How would you recognize him?
First guy answers, That's easy. We'll catch him fast because he only has one eye. The policeman says,
Well, duh. That's because the picture I showed is his side profile.
Slightly flustered by this ridiculous response, he flashes the picture for 5 seconds at the second guy and asks him,
This is your suspect. How would you recognize him?
The second guy smiles and says, Ha! He'd be easy to catch because he only has one ear. The policeman angrily responds,
What's the matter with you two? Of course, only one eye and one ear are showing because it's a picture of his side profile. Is that the best answer you can come up with?
Extremely frustrated at this point, he shows the picture to the third guy and in a very testy voice asks,
This is your suspect. How would you recognize him?
He quickly adds,
Think hard before giving me a stupid answer.
The third guy looks at the picture intently for a moment and says,
The suspect wears contact lenses.
The policeman is surprised and speechless because he really doesn't know himself if the suspect wears contacts or not.
Well, that's an interesting answer. Wait here for a few minutes while I check his file and I'll get back to you on that.
He leaves the room and goes to his office, checks the suspect's file on his computer, and comes back with a beaming smile on his face.
Wow, I can't believe it. It's true. The suspect does in fact wear contact lenses. Good work. How were you able to make such an astute observation?
That's easy.
The third guy replied.
He can't wear regular glasses because he only has one eye and one ear.
One day, a man who had been stranded on a deserted island for over 10 years sees an unusual speck on the horizon.
It's certainly not a ship,
he thinks to himself. As the speck gets closer and closer, he begins to rule out the possibilities of a small boat, then even a raft. Suddenly, emerging from the surf comes a drop-dead gorgeous blonde woman wearing a wetsuit and scuba gear. She approaches the stunned guy and says,
Tell me, how long has it been since you've had a cigarette?
10 years,
replies the stunned man. With that, she reaches over and unzips a waterproof pocket on her left sleeve and pulls out a pack of cigarettes. He takes one, lights it, takes a long drag and says,
Man, oh man, is that good?
And how long has it been since you've had a sip of bourbon?
She asks. Trembling, the castaway replies,
10 years?
She reaches over, unzips her right sleeve, pulls out a flask and hands it to him. He opens the flask, takes a long swig and says,
Whoa, that's absolutely fantastic.
At this point, she starts slowly unzipping the long zipper that runs down the front of her wetsuit, looks at the man seductively and asks,
And how long has it been since you've played around?
With tears in his eyes, the guy falls to his knees and sobs.
Don't tell me you've got a set of clubs in there, too.
A burglar breaks into a house one night. He shines his flashlight around looking for valuables, when a voice in the dark says,
Jesus knows you're here.
He nearly jumps out of his skin, clicks his flashlight off, and freezes. When he hears nothing more, he shakes his head and continues. Just as he pulls the stereo out to disconnect the wires, clear as a bell, he hears,
Jesus is watching you.
Startled, he shines his light around frantically, looking for the source of the voice. Finally, in the corner of the room, his flashlight beam comes to rest on a parrot.
Did you say that?
He hisses at the parrot.
Yes?
The parrot confesses, then squawks.
Rat, I'm just trying to warn you that he's watching you.
The burglar relaxes.
Warn me, huh? Who in the world are you?
Moses?
Replies the bird.
Moses?
The burglar laughs.
What kind of people would name a bird Moses?
The parrot replies.
Rat, the kind of people who would name a Rottweiler Jesus.
Jack decided to go skiing with his best buddy Bob. So they loaded up Jack's minivan and headed north. After driving for a few hours, they got caught in a terrible blizzard. They pulled into a nearby farm and asked the attractive lady who answered the door if they could spend the night.
I realize it's terrible weather out there, and I have this huge house all to myself, but I'm recently widowed.
She explained.
I'm afraid the neighbors will talk if I let you stay in my house.
Don't worry, Jack said. We'll be happy to sleep in the barn. And if the weather breaks, we'll be gone at first light. The lady agreed, and the two men found their way to the barn and settled in for the night. Come morning, the weather had cleared, and they got on their way. They enjoyed a great weekend of skiing. But about 9 months later, Jack got an unexpected letter from an attorney. It took him a few minutes to figure it out. But he finally determined that it was from the attorney of that attractive widow that he had met on the ski weekend. He dropped in on his friend Bob and asked, Bob, you remember that good-looking widow? From the farm we stayed at on our ski holiday up north about 9 months ago?
Yeah, I do,
said Bob. Did you happen to get up in the middle of the night, go up to the house and pay her a visit?
Well, yes,
Bob said, a little embarrassed about being found out. And did you happen to give her my name instead of telling her your name? Bob's face turned beet red, and he said,
Yeah, look, I'm sorry, buddy. I'm afraid I did.
Why do you ask? Jack replied, She just died and left me everything. Two little boys walk into a drugstore. One is 9 years old and the other is 4. The oldest boy grabs a box of tampons from the shelf and carries it to the register for checkout. The cashier asks, Oh, these must be for your mom. The boy replies,
Nope, not for my mom.
The cashier says, Well, they must be for your sister then? The boy replies,
Nope, not for my sister either.
The cashier has now become curious. Oh, not for your mom and not for your sister? Then who are they for? The boy replies,
They're for my little brother.
The cashier is surprised. Your little brother? The boy explains,
Well, yeah. They say on TV, if you wear one of these, you can swim or ride a bike. And my little brother can't do either of those things.